Hello, I'm the Reverend Shonda Nicole Gladden, the CEO of Good to the Soul, a social enterprise engaged in energizing individuals and institutions to flourish and do good in the spirit of universal living and liberation. As we brace for the new normal and how we will be church post this current pandemic, how houses of faith understand, reimagine, and tell their stories is more important than ever before. For the past 30 years, as a lead pastor of 3 different churches and an associate pastor for a half a dozen more, all within the Methodist family of denominational affiliation, I have experienced personally the power of story. The power of story has enabled me to serve the people to whom I was called with an unmatched passion and relevance. That relevance was cultivated in the work of curating the stories of God's people throughout the many ways they encountered God, one another, and even themselves. This practice of noticing, naming, and nurturing elements of human experience in compelling ways through storytelling is something that I've begun perfecting through my work with Good to the Soul. Actually, these 3 pillars, noticing, naming, and nurturing, are core elements of the soul assessment we use in our coaching practice. At Good to the Soul, I work to train our soul stirrers to journey with congregations and other faith-based entities to see their stories as good, even if there have been pieces of these stories that have been hard to hear and even harder to bear. We consult with think tanks, academic teams, and individual researchers to leverage social capital to connect community institutions, houses of faith, health and wellness organizations, as well as individuals to research projects for common good. In addition to connecting the community and the academy, we provide culturally relevant strategic implementation guidance. We want to put the power of our work to good use in the life of you and the lives of the members of your congregations. Why, you ask? Well, Tim Shapiro, the president of the Center for Congregations here in Indianapolis, has written a book called How Your Congregation Learns. I recommend this book to each of you if you've not had a chance to read it. It's chock full of great information. Well, Tim says your congregation learns as it accomplishes new things. It also learns in a discernible way. And that discernible way is what Tim calls the learning journey. This journey includes defining your challenge, exploration of the issue, disappointment, taking on and letting go, validation, and then inevitably another challenge. By becoming more aware of the journey your congregation travels as it achieves its goals, you help your faith community more effectively address its challenges and opportunities. Speaking of becoming, in the book that I penned in 2016, I talk about how the power of story enables us to maximize failures and live into our best selves. But in another book, The Stories We Live, Finding God's Calling All Around Us by Kathleen Cahalan, the power of story is admonished as an integral part of our learning journeys. Through the power of story, we not only learn about our congregations and ourselves, but Cahalan suggests we really learn about God in deeper, more resonating, and all-encompassing ways when we notice, name, and nurture the stories we are all living together. People of faith of all varieties hold in common this power of story. From the Quran to the Bhagavad Gita to the Pentateuch and the Christian canon, people of faith have told their stories. They've stewarded the stories of the ancestors, and those who believe God is still speaking continue to pen the stories of this modern era. In a moment, you're going to hear from one of our soul stirrers who will share some practical ways her work has made a difference in a similar project to the learning community we are inviting you to join today. As you listen to Miss Beverly, I want you to think deeply about your own context. You will receive access to a collaborative document that will invite you to partner in telling a few pieces of your contextual story today. Don't worry, we won't pry, and we won't try to get you to tell the entire story today. We hope you'll journey with us for the next 6 months for that part. But as you listen, I want you to think about answering these 4 questions. First, where is your house of faith in its work related to health and wellness? Are there health concerns that you and members of your congregation are actively working to address? Do you have formal health-related ministries or auxiliaries within your house of faith? Secondly, where would you like to see your house of faith as it pertains to health and wellness? If you could imagine that money was no object and people were readily willing to serve, what ministries might you put forth as it relates to health and wellness? What is the health and wellness legacy you want your congregation to leave? 3, where is your neighborhood and its work related to health and wellness? Do you have people who are not members of your house of faith who have health-related concerns that you hear about? Are there global concerns that pique your interest that you see seeping into your own community? What are the health and wellness concerns for the people in your neighborhood? And then fourthly and finally, what resources might you imagine would enhance accomplishing these goals? Do you need more volunteers? Would it be helpful to see other models of ministries that you could potentially emulate? Do you want a blueprint? How about money? How much money? How soon do you want money? Imagine, if you will, for just a few moments. Now, I want to thank you for watching. The webinar is only halfway through. We have lots of more that we want to share with you today, so don't you get wary, but let's get ready to do some work together.